Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone's animals are well. I am Coriel Kramer, metaphysical expert for animals and people, and I have the episode 18 of the animal experience. And I want to thank everyone for joining me. Hi, it's wonderful to see you all, and sending lots of love out to you and your animals. What I wanted to discuss this week is something that I think all of us have been through once or twice, or maybe more, in our lives. And that is unwanted behavior. Some people call it negative behavior, but I like unwanted behavior because not everything that's negative is bad. So, you can have negative ions and those are good. You can have positive ions and those are good. So, I like to play with words a little bit. And that's all I got to say about that. So happy solstice, everyone. I hope all of you get a wonderful, happy, beautiful solstice evening and many, many blessings to you and your animals. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I have to take a sip. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm going to cough. I know you all didn't join me to see me cough, but that's live, so there you go. Yes, and happy holidays, absolutely, to you and your animals. So the episode we're talking about today is bad or unwanted behaviors and common reasons that I've found over the years talking with the animals, because probably 85% of my business as an animal communicator is finding out why animals are doing what they're doing and get them, please, and ask them to please, 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 please stop. So what I want to first say is this. Animals always have a reason. They're not like people. People sometimes do stuff for, excuse my French, there might be a little bit of cursing in here, but it's the best way to say it, And again, hi everyone, Serena, Meredith, Dawn, Alessandra, love to you, Sherry, Sharon, and Debbie, and Anna. Thank you all. So animals never just do stuff like people do for shits and giggles. Okay? They always have a reason behind it. It's not like they're it's not like they're doing it because they want to get the job interview, so they're doing something inappropriate. It's not because they want to, advance in gain more money or more sex or whatever. They do things. They always do things for a reason. And what I wanted to say with that is that I had a client that told me that she recommended me, and I love this, so that's why I want to share this. I had a client a few months ago who told me that she shared a lot about me on her Facebook group, because there was a group of people who were talking about specifically their Great Danes, and how some of their Great Danes were doing damage in the house. And what my client suggested is, and she said, she thought that it was, she wrote to them and she said that they should contact me or an animal communicator, but I'm her animal communicator, so that's why she recommended me. So that, they can find out the why behind their dogs doing what they're doing. Because, and I quote, she says, instead of, and I quote, throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks. I love that, okay? Because it's true. It is true. Animals never do things just for no reason. They do things because they are trying to communicate. They are trying to let the world know how they are feeling, what they are thinking, and what is going around them. Animals are intelligent, reasoning. I've already had the episode on reasoning and instinct. Reasoning, thinking beings. So they just never do stuff just because. Why did you break that window? I don't know. That's usually a human way of seeing things. All right. Now, when they are starting, not all the time, but a lot of the time, when they are doing something physical, generally it's their last ditch effort. And what I mean by that is usually they've been trying to let you know for a while. And the physical of it manifesting, the physical of it manifesting is the last ditch effort. And they're like, okay, here we go. I gotta go and do it. I don't want to do it. I've been trying to let her know or trying to let him know for a while now, but this is crazy and this is going on, and I have to try to get their attention somehow so that they either, and I understand I probably am going to get them pissed off at me, my people. I don't want to get my people pissed off at me. I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, but I can't not do anything about this. I have to bring their attention to this. Now think about it. If you were an animal, okay, unless you're an animal communicator, all right? If you were an animal, you would be like, trying to get your person's attention, maybe staring at them intently, maybe doing something to let them know, maybe going into their dreams at night, anything. But it can be frustrating being an animal because, we're not always open to what they're trying to say. And it's nothing against you. It's nothing against me. Sometimes I'm not hearing my own animals. But, being an animal can be very, very frustrating because think about it. What other choice do they have? They can't write you a note. They can't type you an email. They can't leave you a video or a voicemail. They have to do something that brings your attention to whatever it is they're trying to bring your attention to. So it's not always, sometimes it's out of malice, but they're doing it not always out of malice or anger. They're doing it because they have no other choice. So a lot of their behavior doesn't come from ugly malice, kind of like emotions. It comes from a place of actual love. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. So that's their mentality. I hope that makes sense. So Sharon says she's driving, not watching, but listening, so relaxing in traffic. That's good. I'm glad. Just don't look at me because I don't want you to take your focus off the road, please. That's the last thing I want. So because of this, with a physical reaction, a physical bad behavior, escalation in that behavior is quite common. This is because, they're not getting their point. Okay, so they've decided that they have to buckle down and do the physical, whatever that will be. And I'll explain some physical in a little bit. But so they decide that they got to do the physical. They're not happy about doing the physical, but they do the physical anyway. But you're not getting the physical's not getting through. Then they're like, ay, you know what? Okay, I gotta ramp this puppy up. No pun intended, but I gotta ramp it up. So they'll start, maybe they'll start doing one-on-one behavior, and not only in one place, but doing it in several places in the house, or doing it several times a day, or, getting even more and more and more, heightening it up and ramping it up from a level 2 to a level 10. So that's normal, especially when you're not getting it. They're trying to think, they're trying to let you know there's something going on. And if they can't speak to you, if you don't speak to them, if you don't hear them, it gets them to the point where, they hit a wall, and they can't talk to you, so they can't, and you're not hearing them. Now, what happens with it, this is it's a blessing and a curse, so to speak, because the more they do this unwanted behavior, the more it drives you crazy. The more it drives you crazy, the less likely you are to get why they're doing the unwanted behavior. So it's a catch-22. It's like this vicious circle that keeps going back and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, and they're getting frustrated, you're getting frustrated. It's just, and nobody's hearing anything. So that's quite common, all right? But with the understanding that they're doing it for a reason, they're trying to get your attention on something. So what are some common unwanted or bad behaviors? Well, there's, animals fighting with each other in the home. There's fighting with their people. There's food aggression. There's peeing and pooping in the house. That's always a fun one. Animals suddenly acting afraid to be in their own home. Jumping, acting like punks. And what I mean by that is, they're stealing things off the counters or off tables, or they're chewing on clothes, or they're acting like they're jumping on people or on children. That's punk behavior. It's in my opinion. Scratching or clawing or chewing the furniture or the house itself, or on clothing. I once had a dog that chewed through all of my underwear. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, every single piece. So, biting people, biting at people, nipping at people, aggressive barking, going after one another, other animals they encounter. You're taking your dog for a walk, he goes after animals. The list is endless. It could be, animals hiding in the house when there's no reason, when there's seemingly no reason to. It could be a whole different kind of list of animals. It just a list of behaviors. It goes on and on and on. So here's the interesting part. When I've talked to the animals, I've lost count at the different causes. There have been a lot. Now you got to understand, been doing this for 23 years. It's never just this. It's around or about the same. Maybe there's something going on in the house. It's something, but there's always the answers to why. The whys are always quite interesting to me. Now, what I also want to say is this. I am going to take your comments and read your comments and your questions at the end of the episode, because I like how that wraps up the episode, and I love to read your comments. So if you have any comments, any questions you want to say, or anything you just want to shoot out to the world, just type it and post it. So until then, I'm not really looking over here because I want to get to the episode. So here we go. What are some common causes? Okay. Emotions play a big part into it. And I talked a little bit about emotions in last week's episode, but emotions, they're trying to express anger, frustration, fear, sadness, guilt, especially survivor's guilt. Maybe they survived something that was, and their babies didn't, or their person didn't survive, or their packmate didn't survive, that kind of guilt. And PTSD from a past episode or a past experience. Like, do animals suffer from PTSD? Yes, they do. Especially the more intense. Sometimes the abuse is, not always. Sometimes it could be just neglect is enough to kick in PTSD. But PTSD does play a part. Changing something. Maybe you changed the litter recently. Maybe you changed the food recently. And what that and what can happen with that is animals get locked into a certain routine. And if you deviate from that routine, it kind of throws them off. Also, they could be letting you know, hey, that litter really sucks. It's got a fragrance that is so strong, it's burning out my nostrils. You know, some of these litters have got perfume in it, and I can't even stand them. I mean, walking down the pet food aisle is very interesting for me. I can't even imagine a poor animal who's this close to a litter pan and has got all that perfume and stuff. You know, maybe they're telling you that the food they're eating they either don't like, or there's something off about it, or there's something not right about it, so maybe they're not eating it. Maybe they're going outside the litter box. You know, a new animal in the household. Yeah, that could cause some stress. You know, new person in the household, including a baby. It doesn't mean that they don't love the baby and you have to get rid of, that's what I want to say. There's a lot of people that get rid of animals because they have a new baby, but they don't give the animals chance enough to get to know that baby so that baby can become a part of the pack. You know, don't give up your animal because you got a new baby coming. You know, unless there's like severe aggression, then you might have to think about it, but we'll talk more about that later. But, you know, giving them a chance to get to know this new life, because this is, it's like a child. Not it, meaning the animal, but the situation is like a child. You know, the situation and the animal is looking at this thing as a threat of taking away your love. So you have to understand that and have patience with that. So we talked about grief. I talked about that last week, and I talked about that a little bit more. So grief, especially grief over they're missing their person. They're in a new home. They're missing and the person gave them up and found them their forever home because they've got beautiful hearts. And the animal is having a hard time, so they're showing a bad behavior because they're grieving that loss of their person, whoever that person may be, whether that person was their person or a foster person. They got used to them. And nobody explained to them this is only temporary. So, a grief that their person died, grief that their packmate died, grief that their children or their babies died. Things like that there. Separation anxiety can be a cause. Smack talking, what I call smack talking. Now, I've talked about this before. Animals are telepathic. And you might not be getting what's going on in the home. There might be some smack talking going on. Somebody is not necessarily attacking somebody physically, but they're talking smack to that animal. And verbal abuse is just as potent as physical. So, smack talking from their brothers and sisters in the home of the animals. Now I'm going to go into some other causes, but I got to tell you, I have worked with these. I have found these out from the animals themselves. And also I have told their people, and immediately as soon as they found the problem, the animal stopped the behavior. So these are what I call the woo-woo causes. Woo-woo meaning metaphysical. All right? Spirits. Animals see spirits. I've already talked about this in episode 14. Animals see spirits. They see spirits really, really well, more than we do. We're a little bit blindsided when it comes to that unless you're tuned into it. So spirits can be causing problems. Poltergeists, pixies, fairies, ethereal beings can cause, some chaos in the house. So the spirits are, there, and they're causing, some kind of disturbance, or they're trying to get a message to you, and the animals want to let you know they're trying to get a message to you and who's around, right? Now, the biggest woo-woo cause I personally have found is energy. Energy in the house is wonky, and the animal is trying to let you know you have to do something about this. Think about it. You go out and you are dealing with all kinds of situations, all kinds of people, all right? And you're dealing with this stuff, some of it good, some of it indifferent, some of it not so good. And then you bring this home, this energy, this feeling, this vibration. You're bringing it, sticks to you like Velcro. You bring it at home and it lands in the house. Now, just like you would clean your house, and you can't leave your house unclean. I mean, you can, but then you'll end up on an episode of Hoarders, all right? So you can't not clean your house. You have to clean your house. So if you could clean your house, why can't you cleanse your house? And you should do so on a regular basis. You don't have to do it every day. I do it every day. I do it every day because I am working with the metaphysical every single day. But you should get into a habit of doing it at least once a month, because you're bringing all this stuff home and your house gets energetically cluttered. And when you do something that will change the energy in the house, it brings it from here, brings it down to here, into a very nice, calm situation. Now, you've all been to parties, all right? And you can tell usually that a party is either kicking or it's crapping within 20 seconds of being at that party. Maybe less if you really tuned in. And you can get this feeling, oh, this is a party, baby, or this is a party, So that's vibration. It's energy. It's energy. Everything is energy. And I'm going to discuss more of that later on in another episode. But I did talk about this in Law of Attraction, the Law of Attraction episode. So if you're going to do this, cleanse your house on a regular basis. And I'll show you and tell you how to do that later. But energy plays a huge part of why animals are doing unwanted behavior, and why even people are doing unwanted behavior. Not only in homes, but in stables, in barns. All these need to be cleaned out energetically after every once in a while. Can't stress it enough. So, that's some of the common causes I've come across. I know that right now we have online, or we had Meredith Whitney, and Meredith Whitney is also an animal communicator, and she's also a friend of mine. So she might have some different takes, and she might have some different causes. But those are the common ones that I really come across a lot. So what can you do to help your animal? First, numero uno, smudging. Smudging, smudging, smudging. Or aromatherapy, something, whatever. Now, what smudging is, I posted on my personal Facebook page, I posted a link to an article I did a long time ago, but it's still really pertinent, and it's called, How Smudging Can Help You and Your Pet. It talks about the techniques that I use, and I don't want to go into this now because there are like 3 techniques and it's a little involving, and I'm trying to keep the TAE to a shorter kind of like version or time because of interests and stuff like that there. So I would suggest you go to my Facebook page. Click the link to that and you'll read about that. You'll also find a link that I did to bad behaviors in Great Danes and other animals, and why some of the common causes. I go into some of the other causes and what you could do for that. That's also on my Facebook page. So read the smudging post. Smudging is basically taking something like sage or something like cedar or sweetgrass, and it's burning it. I also have a link in the smudging post to where I buy my sage, because I buy a special kind of sage that I love. I don't buy the white sage, which is very, very thick, kind of like leaves. I buy a sage that is used primarily by my adopted people, the Sioux Indians, and I like it because it's very pliable. It's got a beautiful, beautiful smell to it. So smudging, but be aware. Here's the thing. Be aware, some sage has a very sweet smell to it. So people who are not used to this smell, it smells like marijuana. So don't smudge before you do a job interview or you go to church, because they might, well, unless you go to a Unitarian or some kind of like church like that, then you're cool. But any other kind of like, or any kind of situation like that, because people might think you've been smoking the wacky weed, okay? So smudging, okay? Leaving music or the TV on. Now, please, no, when I say this, do not leave it onto the news channel. Do not leave it on to even the, I was going to say something else, so, even the nice news channels, okay? Because they come up with some stuff too, and it's about energy. So leave it on Discovery Channel, or leave it on, the music channel. Leave it on a nice music channel, like Pandora or something like that there. A nice music channel that chills out and relaxes them. So that helps because it keeps them feeling like there's somebody in the house. All right. And it keeps them hopefully maybe from thinking that they're alone. Okay. Now, also another thing that you can do is, looking to alternative therapies like flower essences, energetic healing, aromatherapy. But understand aromatherapy, some animals are very, very, they're not happy with the smells. It's too much for them, especially maybe cats. Dogs might be a little easier. So you might want to just make sure not to put it physically on them. So flower essences, aromatherapy to alleviate things like aggression, fear, separation anxiety, past abuse, things like that there. Now, sometimes, and I've prescribed this myself, but not a lot, sometimes training, but training is not always the answer. Okay, training is all well and good. I don't have anything against training, but it solves some issues, but sometimes it acts like a Band-Aid covering up a cut that needs stitches. And it covers up the real reason for why they're doing it, and it covers up the real reason for a short time, but then the bad behavior comes right back with a vengeance. Because sometimes even stronger than before, because it's not solved the problem, and in the meantime they're getting trained, they're going to boot camp, but you're not really finding out what the issue and the problem is. So it's frustrating them. That's time lost. So again, because their voices are not being heard. Now, can a behavioralist, some people use behavioralists. Can they help? Sometimes, but not always. Now, again, this is my experience. I'm not dissing anybody as an animal behavioralist. But what you have to understand is an animal behavioralist looks at the situation as a cookie cutter. Think about it. The behavior, this behavior that they do equals this answer. So this is, if the animal is doing this behavior, this is always the answer. And that's not true. Just because you slash your boyfriend's tires doesn't mean necessarily that you're a crazy, jealous bitch. It could be because he freaking abused you and he loves that car. But I'm going to put this cookie cutter against the reason why you do it and just assume that that's why you do it. I don't assume with people. I'm not going to assume with an animal. That's just me. But behavioralists can they sometimes get it, but it's not all the time. Because animals, just like people, are not cookies. They eat cookies. We aren't cookies. Okay? That's my cookie. That's my cookie part of the episode. So, what else can you do? You can talk to an animal communicator. So, why? I can't tell you how many times I've talked to an animal, found out the whys of the behavior, and the behavior immediately stops. Immediately stops. Because I found the answer, even if it's smudging the house. Their voices have been heard and they are relieved and they are trying to confirm to you, you got it. I can't tell you how many times I get emails or something from somebody like minutes after I do a session. And they said that the animals stopped. Aggression, biting, scratching, clawing, peeing, pooping, whatever. So that's your confirmation. You got it right. You can't do that with training. Training takes a long time. So talking to an animal communicator, we don't come from the cookie cutter mentality. We come from a neutral point of view. We want to get the message. At least I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible. I kind of consider myself Sweden in World War II or Switzerland in World War II. I want to stay out of it. Out of the whys and the making you crazy. I just want to come in, get the answers, and get out. That's what I want to get. That's what I want to do. So that's what I try to do. So, look, finally, I just want to say, just find out the whys behind the behaviors. Because they're trying to tell us something. They're trying to tell you something. And leave the training and the other things sometime for another time. Try an animal communicator first. I'm not saying for me just to make, of course I do it for a living, but I'm not saying it to drum up business. I'm saying this because I want to help the animals. I want to help you. I want to help your relationship with your animal. So get an animal communicator. It doesn't have to be me. And find out the whys, because the whys, that's the money shot. That's where you can find the peace that you want in the relationship with your animal, and they can find their peace as well. So, that's episode 18. And what I'm going to do now is I will take and read some of your comments and your questions, and we will move on from there. Ooh, that just opened up really big, so I'm going to move that over. Okay, so what am I doing here? Serena says, ha ha ha, peeing and spraying on the sofa and clothes is love. They're trying to let you know they're unhappy. It could also, another reason, health. Animals do bad behavior because they're letting you know, hey, I'm hurting and you better take care of this because I'm in pain. So check with your vet. Just saying. Yes, it's love. It can be love sometimes. Sometimes they're just being stinky poopy faces. And they're trying to let you know, you're being a stinky poopy face, Mom, so I'm going to be a stinky poopy face. Okay. So, Dawn, my Max loves to scratch my couch to get my attention. Ugh, he is a punk, but I love him. So look to things that might help you to stop that. He wants to get your attention. This is another reason why they do unwanted behavior. My cat, Tau, the orange ginger, my redheaded stepchild is what I call him. Sorry, no offense to redheads. I love redheads, but he is my strong boy. So he loves, at certain times during the day, he will come up and sit right in front of my screen, or he'll lay right onto the keyboard or step on the keyboard. He might be trying to let me know, hey, pay attention to me, or hey, take a break from the computer. You've been on for 6 hours and it's kind of like making you a little crazy. Just saying, it's a possibility. So you have to kind of like be open to what they're doing. Notice when they're doing it, how they do it, what they're doing. Try to take a step back from the unwanted behavior. Try to take a step back from it so that you can see it in less of a personal way. Because when we see things in the personal way, we take things too personally. It becomes ours. And some things that are ours are good. Some things that are ours, I don't want to own. I don't want to own disease. I don't want to own stuff like that. And so I'm not calling it mine. I'm not calling it mine. So I'm trying to take a step back so I can stay neutral to this. What's going on? Let me see what's going on here. Okay, going in. Thank you, Dawn, for saying that. So Debbie Franks, I'm having a male alpha issue, squirt whiskey over the newest member, Cooper. I understand and I tell them I understand, but whoever is constantly peeing in the basement is making me crazy. How do I communicate that I am the pack alpha and I don't appreciate this behavior? That's Debbie Franks. So Debbie, it depends on the situation. But one of the things that you can do is have a little bit of a firmer hand, and I don't mean hitting, but firmer stance with the boys. When they get themselves and they start their stuff, don't go into the no. Go into the no. Clap your hands. Let them know this is done. We're done. I'm not taking this. Now, when you clap your hands, the good thing about that is that, and you're just saying no. You're not taking sides. You want to stay as neutral as you possibly can. You don't want to say, foo-foo, stop that. Stop going after boo-boo. Because you're taking sides then. You just want to break them apart. And you want to make sure that they stay apart. So when they start their alpha crap, getting a bell, maybe. Getting something that makes noise that's going to stop them. So that's my little thing on it. Then also I would say, there might be time for the boys to do an animal communication because, we did take care of the pee problem from somebody. So now we got to look at this again, maybe. Hey, running late, out rescuing. Oh, Deborah. Okay, best of luck. Deborah's out rescuing a stray dog. I wish you all the best. Sending you juju. Good juju. Meredith Whitney, thank you for the mention, Coriel. I agree with you on the causes of behavior. I also haven't had animals tell me about spirits or energy in the house. I also agree with everything you are saying today. Thank you, Meredith. It's wonderful. I'm glad you joined. Deborah, I thought you were out rescuing a stray dog. I guess she got back. Hi, Deborah. So Deborah says Jackson would still be on the leash if you hadn't talked to him. He just wanted to run, took off the harness and lead that night, and he stopped using the bathroom in the house and goes to the door to go out and potty and run. Yay, Jackson! Yes! Attaboy. Thank you. So that's what I'm talking about. Immediately, a lot of the times they stop the unwanted behavior. It's incredible because they're letting you know, yep, you got it right. And Deborah says, we have not had one accident since. Awesome. Sharon says, she's home. I leave Food Network on and tell Journey home. I leave Food Network on and tell Jersey to cook me dinner. Good luck with that. Okay. You know, it's the thumbs. It kind of messes them up a little bit, but that's cute. So if no one has anything else that they want to say or anything else that they'd like to relay, I am going to wrap this up. And this was episode 18 again, bad behaviors. So I hope you enjoyed it. And a little things here. So, and I want to first thank you again for joining me for this episode. Next week is the new year. It's the new year. I want to wish everyone a wonderful, 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 wonderful 2018. I wish you and your animals all the best for that. I really do. So next year, I only get to say that once. Next year, our next episode will be, how do you choose the right ACer or the right animal communicator? Okay, you want an animal communicator. How do you choose them? There's a lot of us out there. How do you choose? So I'll give you little tips. I'll give you little ideas. I'll give you a little bit of, advice on how and what to look for. Okay? So now I want to say that the Animal Experience can be found on Google Play, can be found on iTunes as podcasts. It also has its own Facebook page. And please do me a favor, if you're liking the videos, go to the Animal Experience Facebook page and leave a review, because that helps people to know what I'm doing and helps people to know right off the bat before they even look at the videos that people are liking them and they're interesting to them. So, and then if you're interested in a session, you can go to my website, which is my name, www.corielkramer.com. Now, somebody's saying some other things, and have a very Merry Christmas. I got lucky when I met you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, says Debbie Frains. Sharon Wagner says, I have a happy and Merry Christmas. Deborah Holland Self says, new beginnings, new energies. Amen. Let's get this year started. All right. And Sharon says, the healing sessions you did really worked. I recommend you. Thank you. So, I'm wishing you and your animals the happiest of holidays and the very best for this 2018. And on top of everything else, I'm wishing you and them many, many wonderful experiences.